Anche di utilizzare quelli che sono gli strumenti di comunicazione maggiormente utilizzati dai giovani per dare i suoi messaggi.
The Ministry of Youth is here because it thinks that is very important for this kind of authority to use the tools and the means of communications that young people likes. So they are here trying to develop this new kind of politics.
Noi pensiamo che i videogiochi possano essere uno strumento per comunicare cultura, per dare la possibilità ai ragazzi di esprimere le proprie doti artistiche e creative, ma anche per aiutarci a dare dei messaggi che intervengano sui maggiori fenomeni di disagio giovanile.
We think that games video games and computer games are really good because they can express culture maybe even better than other media for young people, and they can express their artistic vision and need, but also because games can be very useful and can be very helpful to address specific problems that are typical for young people.
We are sure that the Italian game industry is about to break out and grow, following the path already traced by other European countries like the UK, France or Germany. Filling the gap won't be easy, but this can't be an excuse for Italian game developers. The global game industry is facing a tough moment. It's changing, but let's not forget that each time a crisis hits an industrial sector, new opportunities arise with it. We won't miss this train. We are here in Rome with some of the most important and talented people from Italian and international game industry to share thoughts, projects, ideas, but most of all, to be inspired. That said, IVDC 2010 can start.
I'm going to talk just a little bit about some of the changes and things that are happening in the future that I think will create value for developers, create value for publishers and operators of games, and ultimately create value and enjoyment and entertainment for the most important thing, which is our players. So this is definitely an industry in transition, an industry that is moving from traditional packaged goods, retail-centric industry where products are delivered, boxes on discs and purchased at stores, and it is now changing towards a service industry where everything is delivered digitally on the internet. Now, I don't think that is a revolutionary thought, but I think the speed of transition is quite interesting. Depending on where you live in the world, there is no packaged goods industry anymore. If you go to Korea and parts of Asia, you will not find games to purchase in retail stores anymore. If you think about what's happening in the music industry and the speed at which the music industry is changing from a physical media industry to a digital service industry, that's a great early warning system for what is going to happen in our world as well. And we can already see the transition is happening. And one of the clear changes, I'll get onto in a little bit, but the important thing is that all of the growth, all of the additional value that is going to be created in our industry over the next decade is all online. And I think that that must be the focus of your attention if you're a developer, if you're thinking of starting a career in the games industry. you must think about how you can participate in this new world economy for computer games on the internet. And this chart is deliberately complicated, so you're not supposed to be able to understand it. But I'll do my best to try and explain it. This is a map of the world as we see it. This was put together by one of my partners, Paul Hayden, to map the computer games online industry. On the horizontal axis is the core to casual trend. So on the far left is very casual games, and on the far right is very core and hardcore games. And up from bottom to top is the diversity. So the purple circle on the far right is Blizzard with World of Warcraft. So World of Warcraft is a very core game, and the company that makes it only has one game, so they're not very diverse. The size of the circle represents their revenue. So obviously Blizzard has a huge amount of revenue, and so you can see that they have a very large circle. Top left, in kind of the greeny brown color, is Zynga. Now Zynga has a very diverse portfolio, but they are also very casual in the games that they make. So that's how we map the world. So there's a lot of white space. A lot of white space, and that means that that is opportunity. That means that those are spaces that are not currently occupied by successful companies. So, you know, if you are starting a company or you're thinking about changing the strategy of your company, I would think deeply about how this chart could help you, or other data could help you determine the strategy for your business. Everybody's got an app store. There are hundreds of them. I mean, I spent just a few minutes preparing this slide, and you can just go Google app stores, tell me how many there are, and you just kind of come up with hundreds of them. Although I did like the difference between the PlayStation App Store shopping bag that you can't see into, and the Android Google App Store that you can just see a little bit into. I don't know whether I should read too much into that, but I just thought it was quite interesting. But Samsung, LG, BlackBerry, obviously the Apple App Store, Steam as a direct-to-client distribution mechanism, obviously what Microsoft have been doing with Marketplace, Ovion, Nokia, and hundreds others. This is a trend that is only going to continue. This is not just finished, this is just starting. And this brings opportunity. It means that you as developers can publish your products directly to consumers through these stores. I think the first line of business for any developer moving into the industry is metrics and analytics, understanding how your customers spend money. This is the first principles for any game developer. How do you build technology that measures what your players are doing in as close to a real-time way as you can, so that your game design can respond to their needs and respond to their preferences inside the game, so that you can optimize your offer and optimize the game design so that they enjoy it more. It's a virtuous cycle. And tightening this feedback loop between testing, deploying, analyzing, redesigning, and developing is essential for the success of any online game. And there are loads of tools and technologies that you can get that will allow you to do this. But as any developer starting out now, the first thing I would do is hire or partner with the smartest people you can who understand this. Don't worry about graphics, understand metrics and analytics before anything else. And there's a guy called Ben Holmes, who is another venture capitalist friend of mine, who was an investor in Playfish, and I think he summed this up with a great quote where he said, venture capitalists really prefer game companies to operate and behave like e-commerce businesses under the hood. Now, so what is on the outside world is a game, but what is on the inside, what is on the core technologies, is really a very complex e-commerce engine. And this is the skills that we have to adopt as an industry. Finally, be brave, ambitious, and audacious. This is a great time to start a games company, and I highly recommend that you do so, and that you have that as your passion, because I think the opportunity is there, and certainly I am incredibly enthusiastic and excited about the future of our industry. Thank you very much for your time.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of what you're talking about, all these new trends seem to doesn't seem like we've got too long left for consoles like the Xbox, like the PlayStation 3, like the Wii. I mean, everything seems to be moving in a very different direction. I was wondering if you had any perspective on how much longer we've got before all of that disappears, and how Microsoft, Sony and Nintendo, what place they'll have in the future. With particular reference to Nintendo, because they are very specifically creating products designed to play games and very little else. They don't offer as broad a range of services, certainly, so where in specific that fits into it.
I think the industry is going to change from being that invest a couple of $1 billion, make it all up on software, hope it goes really well, and repeat. I don't think that cycle is going to happen again in the same way it has worked very well for the last 25 years. I don't think that's going to work so well in the future. But the thing that is valuable about what certainly Sony and Microsoft is doing is their network services. I think what will become console of the future is what you can probably see the foundations of it in PSN and Xbox Live. And I think that the console format of the future will move onto the network, and it will be powered by something like a PSN or something like an Xbox Live and all of the peripheral services and features that go with it. But I don't think the traditional market of spending that much money and making it all up purely on packaged software works.
So what is a bank? It's surely the world's best-selling and with best reviews spaghetti western board games. With spaghetti western, we mean all the Wild West themed movies that have been made famous by Sergio Leone. So it's a typical Italian thing that has been renowned throughout the world. The original bank sold 600,000 copies worldwide already. Was named, just to name a few awards, Best of Show at Lucca Games, had the Best Design Award for the Origins competition, and has recently been named one of the top 100 family games of all time. So this is very important because being listed as a family game, and if you go on YouTube and look for Bang, you will see that it attracts players of all ages. So the children can play it in a very basic way, because understanding the basics is very, very simple. But you have national championships in Italy, in US and in Germany as well, and in the Czech Republic, with very passionate people and experts who play that with great passion and giving a lot of time to it.
You should think that if you have money, you can get the license of your dreams, but it's not. In fact, it could be harder than you think to get one. Why? Because you have to convince a board game publisher, in this case, to give out something that is a creature for them. So it's something that is very important, which has you know, a soul, something they love. This is the very first point. You have to convince them about it. And then you have to convince them that this game would be a great possibility for the conversion into a video game. That is quite a different job.